Okay, we're going to start with the nation. What Tinubu told APC screening panel by aid. Wike slams PDP South governors for betraying him. 2023 polls, rising food prices threaten economy, IMF warns. Businessman arrested over importation of fake malaria drugs. EFCC charges Okorocha with 2.9 billion naira fraud. Titan Trust completes acquisition of Union Bank. Why I visited Wike Sarakitamboa by Atiku. Okay, which story are we starting with in Nation?
I could do IMF.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so according to the IMF, that's the International Monetary Fund, they are warning that we have a lot of soaring food prices, and you know, it's going to be a threat also as we prepare for the general elections that's going to be happening next year. So they put a report titled Persisting Insecurity. And they said one of the issues we have is the banditry and kidnapping, which may affect the performance of the 2023 elections. They said we also have a problem of high energy prices, spending pressures with a narrow fiscal space as part of the problems that are bedeviling us in the country. And they said other downside risks are low vaccination rates, monetary tightening in advanced economies, muted foreign investment inflows, and exchange rate pressures. And said all of these things are, aside from the shock we had from COVID-19 that happened, they are sort of stifling our economy, and we need to do more. They also mentioned the fact that the government needs to find ways to pay back the debts that we are accruing. So it's not enough to still have a bandwidth wherein we can take in more debts, but we need to plan to be able to pay back those debts, and we're not really making enough revenue to handle the paying back of the debt, and that's one of the major issues that we have.
llǝd Suleiman was reviewing the papers, and it woke me up to reality. You know, the NNPC have continued to give us a deficit balance. They've not really remitted anything into the national coffers because they have been saying they use the monies for running NNPC. So we've really not been exchanging any of our resources for anything. We don't export anything. We're not a productive country. And so the Naira will continue to fall steadily, whether we like it or not. And that reality, in fact, I was just
painful
just hearing it.
Okay, so Governor of River State, Wike, was reflecting. I mean, many feel that he put up a good fight at the PDP presidential primaries that they had recently. He was reflecting, saying that he was betrayed, that many of his colleagues from the South, that many of them aligned with Atiku against him. He further went on to say that those who aligned with the region that's ganged up against their southern governors region had inadvertently chosen to remain perpetual slaves. According to him, he wanted to be on record that he stood for the ground that enough is enough, and that this country does not belong to just one particular zone, and that he's happy he stood his ground. I would say, according to him, he's done his own part. He said it's not in their blood to betray anybody, but he was indeed betrayed by many of his counterparts from the South. He was just really reflecting and wasn't happy. They had hosted him to a dinner in the South because I think he fought a good fight, and I think this is a game of numbers all the time.
He did, yeah.
He fought a good fight, but he didn't work on his person. So there's a part of having money.
Well, in Nigeria, there's a Wike, like that's Wike action. You know, there's a
we need a Wike when you get there. But before you get there,
you must be like a lamb.
Must be able to wise as serpents and harmless as doves. You just have to.
Man, I can just imagine Wike and these people.
So Peter will be all the the flag bearer for Labour Party as the president for these elections, and amazingly, you know, the Labour Party is rich with technocrats. You had people just stepping down. Professor Patutomi stepped down for him. Another person stepped down for him within the party. People who had other ambitions within the party, and yesterday their conversion was simple, easy, and you know.
I'm happy for him. You have a story, Nation?
Yes. So a businessman, a 32-year-old businessman, Obinna Ibo, has been arrested for an alleged importation of and sale of fake Amanta Fort. That's an unregistered anti-malaria drug. And they said that the businessman has been arraigned before the court for unlawful importation, possession, sale, and distribution of this drug. And he was selling it at the Head Bridge Market, Onitsha, in Anambra State. He also had it at, they said he sold the fake drugs at shop E200 Freedom Line, Onitsha, Head Bridge Market, after importing it into the consignment, just for those who may have gone to that particular place to buy this drug. And I'm happy that NAFDAC says that, they're going to see this to the very end. It's important that we read these stories, we know about them on time, because families would have gone to buy these drugs without really understanding.
When someone says I'm a businessman, you just think, what kind of business is he doing? Business is doing, importing fake drugs. Okay, moving on quickly to The Punch. Presidential primary screening. APC questions Tinubu, Umahi, Bakari, others on foreign citizenship and consensus. Very picture here, I think for me, is a heartbreaking picture of Okorocha engaging 5 sons. Court hears bail application today. Lagos sergants killed my inspector husband with a sword, says widow. Obi would have been my presidential running mate, says Kwakonso. 2 Ekiti men to die by hanging for robbing 53-year-old lecturer. Ogun community laments harassment by child beggars, demands relocation. Disco's, Genco's, others revenue shortfall rises to 1.6 trillion actually. I can't be second-class citizen, says Wiki. Article begins reconciliation. Methodist prelate, others regain freedom 24 hours after abduction. Nigeria buys 68.19 million SIMs in 4 years, says NCC. Okay.
Yeah, let me take the story of the prelate that has been released. We took the story yesterday that they had been kidnapped. But even though the paper says at the time of this report, we don't have the full details of their release, but from a very reliable source from the church says, to God be the glory, His Eminence Dr. Samuel Chukwuemeka Kanu Uche, his chaplain, Very Reverend Abidemi Jeremiah Shitu, and the Bishop of Owerri, Right Reverend Dennis Mark, have regained their freedom a few minutes ago. Thank you all for your prayers. So we do not know if they were rescued or if they were just let go, if these kidnappers were apprehended. But, I mean, good news
that they have been released.
To know that they are back.
Yeah. So a police sergeant Ukeme Asoko on Monday appeared before Justice O.H. Oshodi of the Ikeja High Court over alleged murder of a police inspector, Francis Adekunle. According to the story, he said it was the detectives from the State Criminal Investigation and Intelligence Department, Yaba, Lagos, that arrested the sergeant for allegedly inflicting machete cuts on the inspector. So when the wife came on the stand to narrate the story, it says that that particular evening, I think about 8 p.m., she was outside trying to dispose of their refuse. And then the sergeant just walks to her and says that he wanted to see her. So she was asking, why do you want to see me? He said, just follow me, I want to see you. And so she refused to follow him. You have to tell me the reason I have to see you. And the sergeant walked into the compound and locked the gate, so locking her outside. So she raised an alarm. One of the neighbors came out to open the gate for her, and the sergeant started attacking that one. Why are you opening the gate? So in that noise, her husband came out, and then the sergeant all of a sudden took a sword and started chasing both of them. So she went somewhere and hid. And before she realized it, somebody came to call her that your husband has just been killed. That's the inspector was killed. And by the time she got there, the inspector was in a pool of blood. The man had run away, but he's been picked up. The case has been adjourned, though they have not told us the reason that made him kill that man. But I'm sure as the case progresses, we'll hear more of that.
That was in medieval times. What are you holding with a sword?
Let's just restore our trust in the judiciary.
Yes.
2 men have been sentenced to death by hanging in Ekiti. According to the story, in 2015, they attacked a woman, a lecturer in the university in Ado-Ekiti there. Both of them, one is Fakore Deolawale, 36 years old, and Tunji Olaiton, 39 years old. They attacked her in 2015. They attempted to rape her. They attempted to murder her.
Wow.
They robbed her with arms. They cut her with machete. In fact, they had targeted her head. And so she had to dodge, using her hand to block her. She had machete cuts all over her. And they took some of her possessions. They attempted to rape her, but her phone rang, and that, sort of distracted them. But they successfully carried out the robbery, and they left. And she reported to the police. The police, someone that noticed what was happening, called the police. They responded on time. They rescued her, which is how we like the stories to go. Took her to the hospital, treated her, then went after these 2 criminals, arrested them, prosecuted them successfully to the point that they got this conviction. Since 2015, so they followed the trail. 2022, there's a final conviction. Both of them found on all counts, and on the count of the armed robbery, they've been sentenced to death by hanging. So the system works if we, just
let
do
it.
our part.
Okay, so let's go. You have a story in Punch?
Yes, I have a story.
Right, let me take on.
Yes, so residents of Arepo are lamenting the security threats posed by the influx of child beggars around the Arepo Bridge. This is in Obafemi Owode local government area of Ogun State. And they said that while they carried out investigations, they found that the beggars were mostly adults, children who were living in those shanties just around the bridge, and they were cooking, sleeping there. They don't have proper toilets. They don't have, good health facilities. They're just hanging around in those areas. And most of these beggars came all the way from Jigawa, Katsina, Nasarawa, Kwara, and Kano, those who had run away from the insurgency in their state. So they're asking, residents are asking that the government does something about them in those areas, that there's another land that they wanted to take them to, like a virgin land where they can help settle them so that they will have better means of livelihood in those areas.
In Lagos? There's no land in Lagos.
I don't know. They mentioned, no, that's Ogun State.
Okay,
that's
okay,
Ogun State,
right.
yeah.
Let's go on a break. When we come back, we continue with the reviews. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. You had a story. There was a story I wanted to take that really was Okorocha's story. And it was more about his facial expression. Yes, I read the story where he's actually, he's demanding that the court should declare illegal the invasion of his house. When the FCC came saying that they didn't have a warrant for the arrest, and the FCC...
They didn't have a warrant.
And he was also saying that the invasion, let me try to read exactly what he said. The invasion of his residence was illegal, yeah. And also, there was another thing that so his lawyer, Dr. Michael Zekome, was insisting that they were going to sue for ₦1 billion, the federal government, for that illegal invasion. Although some have said that, according to Section 12, Subsection 2 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, says that they are allowed to break in. I didn't even know that. They could. Once somebody has been arrested, the person or police can offer and enter the house of a place for a search of a suspect to be arrested. And even when they do, they can't get in. They can break in any outer or inner door or window to access. So that's according to the Criminal Justice Act. But either way, what was more for me for the story was his facial expression. You could see it was almost like regrets. The fact that there's people that he can't trust, or he feels that maybe there's something wrong. I don't know. He just feels like he needs a bit of attention at this point.
His lawyers should have advised him well when he decided not to show up in court after the administrative.
Yeah, he shouldn't have done what he did. I agree with you. Okay, let's move on quickly now to the next paper. This is the Nigerian Tribune. Tinubu, Amechi, Amosu, Bakari, others face APC screening. Peter Obi emerges Labour Party candidate. APC primaries. Controversies persist in Oshun, Oyo, Ogun, and Ondo. I almost scuttled PDP presidential primary, says Wike. Ekiti government nullifies installation of traditional ruler. Methodist Church prelates regains freedom. IMF declares Nigeria's debt to GDP ratio of 76%. My scariest moment was when I ran out of water in Mauritania, says Adeyanju, London to Lagos biker. Train attack. My son is a sickler. I don't know his condition now. Obshiba Joe's classmate cries out. And no Nigerian territory was attacked by Cameroonian separatists, says army. Train attack. My son is a sick. Yeah, I think I took that already. Okay, any story?
Let me take the train attack. So the terrorists have released another video, and in the video are 7 people, and one of them is an elderly woman who was appealing to the federal government to intervene in their situation. She said they've been there 62 days, as we're all aware, and she also says she has a child who is a sickler, and she doesn't even know what his condition is right now. Another person who was in the video, Sadiq Ango Abdullahi, he's the son of the chairman of Northern Elders Forum, Professor Ango Abdullahi. He was also appealing to the government to help with their situation. He says that many of them are sick, they're really living in very bad condition, and that the government should help them before, they start losing their lives. Interestingly, Sadiq also, while in captivity, won the PDP primaries, that was just done. Okay. So we're hoping the federal government would quickly do something for these lives.
Okay, moving on quickly now to Daily Trust. Oyegun-led committee grills Tinubu, Umahi, Amechi, Badru, others. Abuja, Kaduna train attackers issue fresh threat as children found. Imo traders defy IPOB, sit-at-home open stores. Abuja couple disappointed as wife on contraceptive gives birth to quadruplets. How Buhari's men lost out in Kano APC primaries. Presidency, Southwest APC leaders in final push for consensus candidate. And World Tobacco Day, smoking kills 29,000 Nigerians annually. Okay,
so traders in Owerri, the Imo State capital, yesterday shunned the weekly Monday sit-at-home as they opened their stores for business. They said, however, the banks, the schools, and major commercial centers remain closed, but some of the traders decided to go out and sell because, according to one of the, someone who wanted to be anonymous said that they can't keep doing this, and this was not going to help their economy. This was not going to help them as survivors, that they need to make money before hunger kills them. And so they decided to go out in the market and start selling. So, hopefully they would reduce or even stop, because IPOB on several occasions have said that they have opened up the Monday sit-at-homes, that people can go out. But then when people come out and they start to sell, you see unknown gunmen coming to enforce the sit-at-home. So it's a bit scary for most traders to open their shops. So some people decided to say, we want to test the waters. We just want to see what happens. We can't keep closing our stores and, keeping our businesses down in the name of sit-at-homes when the leaders are saying, today there's sit-at-home, tomorrow there's no sit-at-home. So I believe that they should just decide what do they want to do in the Southeast, basically. So
the Southwest are coming together. Leaders from the Southwest are making frantic efforts to get the consensus candidate. And this is obviously because recently the PDP had chosen Atiku Abubakar. And now the APC must decide between June 6th and 8th who the presidential aspirant or ticket holder would be. And there's a huge conversation over how to arrive at that consensus. So the flag bearers, obviously, we have the FIMEs, we have the former governor of Lagos State, Sw0rd, we have the vice president, we have Amechi, and the Southwest is saying amongst those from the Southwest, they need to have a conversation to see who is most appropriate and who can actually beat Atiku, because that's the real conversation. Who has the clout, the capacity, the experience, and the ability to be able to defeat Atiku Abubakar in the coming election. So that's the conversation, and it's a tough one because everybody feels that they are competent enough to get that position. Between now and the next few days, they must decide. They're hoping that more people will step down, the others will step down. Hopefully, we'll find out who the final person is before the next few days.
Yeah. World Tobacco Day. So the Center for the Study of the Economies of Nigeria has, given us some very important data. It says that smoking kills 29,000 Nigerians annually, and that the Nigerian government spends 52 billion naira every year, to help with tobacco-induced diseases. It says, and this is a huge economic burden for us as a country, and that even though, government earns some money from tobacco, it's just 10% from the tobacco taxes, which really doesn't make much sense given the ill effect of, tobacco on our health and in our environment. It says the production of tobacco releases about 84 megatons of carbon dioxide. And because of this, many countries, especially the global north, have stopped production in their countries. And so they have moved their production offices to countries like our country, low-income, middle-income countries like ours, where production is going on and all the carbon monoxide is out,
released in the air,
released in our own air. And even it says that apart from that, yes, that the government tries to send the message of no smoking and things like that, but we have some Nigerian shows. They mentioned a particular show that shows people smoking, young people, older people are like smoking on that show, that this does not send the right message. And so they're asking government to find different ways to sort of curb the use of cigarettes and smoking. And so they've said that government should put levies, environmental levies on companies that produce cigarettes and things like that, and importation of tobacco leaves.
Yeah, so gunmen invaded the premises of Anambra Broadcasting Service, Awada Onitsha station yesterday, and they said they brutalized some staff members who were on night duty. So according to an eyewitness, said the gunmen burnt a building, a company bus, and another vehicle parked on the premises. However, no life was lost in the attack, but the eyewitnesses stressed that they brutalized members of staff on the premises and they were flogging them with canes. So a lot of them had different injuries on their body. The public relations officer has said that they know about the attack, and thankfully no life was lost, but they're going to continue investigation to find these gunmen who have come to do this.
Okay, we have one more story?
Yes. A couple in Abuja.
The quadruplets.
Yes. So Mr. and Mrs. Christopher Apple, first of all, we congratulate them. They have just been blessed.
Okay, I should have said Mashiu. Okay, congratulations. Go ahead, please.
They've just been blessed with quadruplets, but they had 5 children before this.
Wow.
Now I see why.
The husband was saying that he had, after their 5 children, they had gone to the hospital, spoken to the hospital about getting contraceptives. They put his wife on a contraceptive. And the man says, but they found that it was not working. I don't know how they found. So they now went to a pharmacy that now gave them drugs, and they bought drugs from there to help with the contraception. And after they started taking those drugs, they found out that she was pregnant. They said they went to 2 different places, and it was confirmed that not only was she pregnant, but she was pregnant with 4.
Hey,
the hospital where they got the contraception from says, well, if they had followed if they had followed it properly, this would not have happened. So it could be because they didn't trust that first treatment, and they added whatever drugs.
And they were doing.
So they were not doing. A lot of couples, please keep that matter.
They were doing.
That's all we can take on front page review. I mean, listen, I'm sure there are governments to help us. 9 children is not easy.
There's vasectomy.
Yeah, vasectomy. The man should consider vasectomy. If the contraceptive is not working your wife,
then you double it.
Cheaper.
Vasectomy is easier and cheaper.
It's cheaper and takes
Men should begin to consider
5 minutes, 2 minutes.
Okay, let's go on a break now. We'll come back, move on to an important topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.